Hello everyone, and welcome back to SysAid Customer Relation free webinar this month about manage your processes within SysAid. My name is Baranes Hanan. I am SysAid Professional Services Manager. Together with me we have Joseph Zargari, which is a team leader in the Customer Relation Department. How are you, Joseph?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good to be back. I wasn't here for the past two webinars. It's always good to be back. I'm always happy to be in contact with the customers, and even the certification. I never give up on the certification. We've got another one coming, starting next month, September 10th.
Yeah.
So I'll be happy to see you guys joining there too.
Thank you, Joseph, for this opening. Just to let you know, our live representative are waiting for you in our online chat. So any questions that you have during this webinar, about this webinar or any other questions that you have, they can answer. Accessing the chat is you can, through the running banner on your screen, there is a link to the chat, so please feel free to ask any question and use it. Joseph, our webinar today is about change management and how you can create your processes within SysAid, and it's all within the change management module of SysAid. But we are showing a lot of technical issues during this webinar, but we can't start without saying what's change management is all about. What's the advantages, what's the goals of change management. So if you can spend just like a few minutes about the theory of change management.
Okay. Generally, the theory is usually the boring part. I have a couple of slides here explaining the goals of change management, which, just to sum up, basically to improve how you run your processes within your IT department, within your organization. Having the processes documented and managed and controlled within one system to improve your service. And this here is Wikipedia's definition of change management goals. If we go to the ISO 20000 definition, which is much simpler, it's basically to ensure all changes are assessed, approved, implemented, and reviewed in a controlled manner.
Okay, thank you about that. We understand what change management is all about, but what's the advantage to me as a IT department, as an individual? What's the advantages of using change management?
Okay, so there are a few advantages listed here on my slide here. Basically, you reduce the risks of making any change because it is better controlled and better managed, and it is less likely that things fall between the cracks and you miss stuff and you forget stuff. So it does reduce the risks. It allows more parts of the organization get involved within the procedure. So it's a single platform for communication between the people in the organization to get involved in the process. It allows you to control the process, so you can always go in and see where the process is, at what stage it is, what the next stages are. It allows you to measure yourself, so you can always measure how long it takes to finish a certain change, a certain process. And bottom line, in the IT world where we're all working, the primary goal is to provide a better service, and this tool definitely allows us to improve our support tools of our services.
Yeah, basically this is what we look for in any help desk solution, just to improve the level of service that we provide. Thank you about that. That's all about theory for today. And again, the main purpose of this specific webinar is just to show you how you can create the processes within SysAid. And let's assume, Joseph, I also prepared a slide that I have the following process, and I choose a well-known process, which is the new employee process. Basically, most organizations, if not all organizations, And we build a simple process. A new employee request is coming in. The manager just providing any additional details and approve the process. Then it goes into 3 different departments in parallel: the IT department, the finance department, and the human resource department, all of them to do what they need to do. Once all the departments complete what they need to do, you just need to review the process again by the direct manager. And this is a simple process, and let's teach you and show you how this process can be created within SysAid.
Okay, so I did set up an environment for us to work with, and I prepared a little change template where we can basically see how the process you just described on slide, how this really works in SysAid. So I'm going to go into add new change request and choose the new template that I created, the new employee, and let's create new. And this is the form I have. I need to fill in a few basic stuff here, a few fields that I define that are relevant. For example, full name, and I'm going to set up John Doe. And the position, let's say customer service representative. And let's choose the department. It is customer service. Okay, I need to choose who the request user is. In my case, let's say the request user is the person from human resources, let's say Jenny. So I'm going to choose Jenny as the request user, and that's pretty much it. I can start the process, and the next thing I should do, the next step I should do is basically determine who is in charge of each step of the way. I have these arrow-shaped tabs. I'm going to talk about them, what they mean, and how we configure those. But basically what I have is one for approved or approval, one for implementation, and one for review. First step for review would be the direct manager, and in this case the direct manager would be sorry, it's just moving between monitors here. The direct manager would be David, so I'm going to choose David as the direct manager. And this is what David's going to see. That's all the steps he should perform. Then under implement, I have 3 tabs here, one for human resources, one for finance, one for IT. Let's do in human resources, I'm going to, the double monitor here is causing us a little problem, but I think we'll manage. So I'm going to make Jenny, she's the person in human resources. She's going to handle the HR tasks. Then under finance, we're going to put Angelina, she's in charge of finance. And then eventually under IT, let's take Axel. Axel will be the IT guy that performs all the IT actions.
I have a question, Joseph. Sorry to interrupt you. I can see that you set up these users manually. Do we have to do it manually every time we create a process?
Well, that's a good question. It really depends on how the process is built. If it's always going to be the same people doing the same actions, then yes, of course, you can set these people up when you create the template. I'll even show that when we get to talk about building the templates, defining the templates. If the people are changing every time, it's going to be a different person. It's going to be a little problematic, and the system can never guess who's the person in charge. And that means the process manager, the person creating that change request, should define who's in charge of each step. So let's take the manager approval under process review. Let's take.
I believe it should be David.
David is the direct manager, so he should approve that the process completed. And eventually, the last tab I have here is just for status and notes to close the change request. I'm just going to apply it here. And what we got is a change request that already began. You can see that these workflow tabs, the arrow-shaped tabs, some of them, or basically right now one of them, is showing as active, and two are showing grayed out. These grayed out tabs mean that the actions within are still haven't started. They depend on the first step to complete. Okay, so if David goes here into approval and fills in all the details, decides what kind of hardware is required, what kind of software is required, maybe add some additional notes, and choose to approve this, meaning go ahead and complete the rest of the steps. As soon as I click complete here, a few tabs will become active, and this here will no longer be grayed out. Okay, so notice that I hit complete, this becomes green, this becomes activated. Review is still grayed out because we have to complete a few steps before review becomes active. Then if I go to implement, you can see that 3 steps here became active. They all depend on the approval stage. As soon as the approval stage gets completed and approved, then these 3 steps here become active.
I have 2 questions, Joseph. Sorry to interrupt again. Will the users that are assigned to these specific actions, like human resource and finance and IT, will they get notification by emails whenever their action is activated?
Yes, you can define the change template to send a notification, not just by email. You can also do a text message to their phone if you have, SMS integration in SysAid. You can also choose to create a service request for them, whatever suits your needs. I think 99% of the cases it would be email notification. That usually is enough, but there are other ways to do the notification, and I'll cover that when we get to talk about.
Okay, so I don't need to wait in front of SysAid all day just to my actions to become enabled. I will get it by email. And again, just to make sure, this specific process is a customized process that we create in the system. It's not a built-in process.
That's right. Basically, if you go to look at the available templates, we've got 2 templates that are built into SysAid when you first install it. Basic infrastructure change process and advanced SysAid Untitled change process. These are built into the product and built upon some best practices. Obviously, they're not going to suit every organization or every need you may have. For example, this new employee is something that wouldn't really suit the built-in templates. So that one I just created myself.
Just to make sure.
Okay, so let's complete this process. Right now these 3 are active. For example, Axel can go in and finish his steps before the human resources and finance departments finish theirs, and this becomes green. The other ones are still active, still waiting to be completed. And let's say I complete all 3, and before I click complete on the 3rd one, notice the review here. This one will become active as soon as I complete the last one, because the 3rd one basically depends on the completion of all 3 action items right here. Okay, so once I completed everything, I can go ahead and David can go ahead and look, make sure that everything's been done correctly, and basically complete the process. When David does, and actually before I do that, look at the status here. As I went along and completed some of these steps, it changed statuses. It basically changed status to in implementation right here. And then when I finished all 3 action items under implement, it changed the status to waiting to be closed. When David goes here and click complete, it will color that green, and it will also change the status here to change completed. Obviously, this is not something you have to do. It's not going to automatically change the status. You need to configure that. just showing some of the capabilities we have in the change management.
This is what I tell to customers whenever I do professional services and implementation hours. I tell them, you as a process manager, you don't need to dive in and go into the process itself. Just by looking at the status, you know where the process is. If the process is waiting to be closed, you know it is in the review process. If it's in implementation, you know exactly where it is. And you as a process manager, look at the status. It will tell you where you are and exactly where the process is. Okay, Joseph, thank you for that. Let me just show you that we are still here. Sorry, I didn't do that. Here, we are still here,
yeah.
Just to let you know. We didn't run away. Just doing it on a wide screen so it will be easy for you to see all the slides and the screens and the system better. Now, we showed them the theory, we showed them how change process looks like in SysAid. Let's show them how to do that, how to create this process in SysAid. This is what they are waiting for. So let's go. Where should we start?
Okay, so going back to my system here. Actually, before that, let me show you a couple more slides just to explain some of the terminology in the change management. So there are two configurations we're going to need to set up, to get the template running. The first one is subtype. Subtype will basically define which tabs you're going to have on the top of the form, okay, and it's going to determine for each tab if it's going to be a regular tab, which is square shaped, or a workflow tab, which is arrow shaped. Okay, for the regular tabs, it will also define which fields are going to be available there, which fields are going to be mandatory, which fields are going to be read-only. This is basically the definition for the tabs, and for the regular tabs it also defines what's inside. So it's basically the skeleton of the change process of the change request template. Once we do that, we can go ahead and define the template itself. When we go to define the template itself, we set up for the arrow shaped tabs, for the workflow tabs, we define what's going to show up on the top part, which is usually either empty or just a field showing instructions of what's done in this workflow tab. And on the bottom part, we're going to define all the action items. The action items look very similar to the workflow tabs, but they're on the bottom here, and they have kind of a different meaning. These are the small actions or small steps that needs to be taken to complete this process. In my example here I have resource assessment and risk management, and these are the two action items. Inside you can see the fields here. They are determined by the action item view. You can set up a certain view and then use it as many times as you want throughout the process. Usually depends on the requirements, but you could do that. And eventually we've got this little cogwheel icon right here, which is used for configuring what action item view will affect this action item, which mini form will be presented in this action item.
So you say in order to create a process, we need to go to two different places in the system. Start from the subtype to define the skeleton of the process, and then go into the template itself to put some logic and which data will be captured throughout the process.
Exactly. And let's see this within the system. So under service desk, I'm going to starting with subtype, and there's the one I already created, the new employee, but let's create a new one and see how this is done from scratch. So I'm gonna do the same process. I'm just gonna name it differently. Let's do new employee 2, let's say. I'm gonna hit apply, and then I get the edit subtype view. This is where I'm going to define the skeleton. This is where I define the tabs and what is or which field is within each of the regular tabs. Okay. By the way, when you go to any of the workflow tabs, you're going to see them missing. They're not going to show anything in this place in the subtab because that's not where we define them. We're going to get to that when we get to templates.
Why, Joseph, whenever you created a new subtype, you get all of these workflow tabs? This is by default?
This is the default. This comes in based on the default change request subtype. So this is what you get by default. You can click the blue cogwheel here to design the form, and this is basically what you're going to get. You're going to get a list of the tabs, okay, and you can add new tab or add new workflow tab. New tab means new regular tab, and then new workflow tab means the
yes, but I don't want all of these tabs. I want to create my own.
Right, so this is where we step in and start our whole procedure from scratch.
Sorry to interrupt, I'm just...
Yeah, no problem. You're leading me on pretty good. Basically, I'm going to need to delete all the tabs and then recreate just the ones I need. And actually, there is a slight problem with this because we cannot determine the order of the tabs. We're going to have to create all of the tabs in the order we'll eventually want the form to look like. So my recommendation to you is before you actually jump in to configure that, just design the flow, design the tabs that you're going to need. Only then put it into the forms because you're going to need to reconfigure everything. Hold on a second. The double monitors here are causing me a little...
So you just click on the cogwheel from the top, select the relevant tab that you want to move or remove from the screen, and click on delete, or make it non-visible.
Right, that's right. I'm going to delete everything. Actually, close and history are tabs that are built into the system and cannot be deleted. So in that case, what I'll do is I'm going to make them invisible. So I'm just going to remove this checkbox here, and close becomes invisible, and I'll also do the same for history, and that should be it. Let me just refresh the page, and that's it. We're left with just one tab, the change details, and you can decide.
And this tab, by the way, cannot be deleted.
This one cannot be deleted. This one cannot be turned invisible.
Yeah, okay.
You can rename the tab and then redesign it to whatever you need, but cannot be deleted or made invisible. So just decide what fields you want. In our case, we made a new field here called full name, and we did position, and we did department, but we're not doing the whole thing from the start, so that should be enough for the demonstration. And then we get the fields right here, and I'm going to define the workflow tabs that I need. So I'm going to say new workflow tab. I'm going to name this say analyze, or let's say
approval.
Let's
in the original one.
Let's try to keep it the way it was before. So approval, yes. Save. And then we get a new workflow tab. I'm going to do the same a couple more times. Implement.
I think you should click on new.
Oh, did I not? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't. Let's rename this back to approval. And save.
I just wanted to tell the audience that I also know change management. Since I'm professional services manager, it's not... I have to know a little bit about, at least.
Okay, so implement, and then the last one would be review. Okay, so we've got the three workflow tabs that we wanted, and then let's say one more for closing. So I'm going to do new tab, regular tab. I'm going to name this close, and let's say I'm going to put. I always like to put in notes to give people place to enter anything they want. and status, and then if you want to add history, or we did add history, so I'm going to add it again, and save, and that's pretty much the definition of the structure of which workflow tabs we get, and for the regular tabs, which fields we get on the form.
So this is the skeleton, and this is controlled again in the subtype section of the system.
That's right.
And the next step is?
Next step is to create the change template. And actually, one good thing you gain from having the separation is that you can create multiple change templates on the same skeleton, on the same subtype. So if you have a few processes that meet the same structure needs, then you can use the same subtype.
Leave something for simplification, Joseph.
Yeah. Don't worry, I can keep on talking about change requests and change management for hours. We only got 30 minutes?
You're left like 10 minutes.
Okay. So
I'm not pushing you, but just to let you know.
Okay, so this is where I define the category if I want, enter the title that will show up for each new change request that's going to be created by that template, description, whatever you need, basically. And under the workflow tabs, you can click here on that design button and choose the action item view that's going to affect the top part and the first bottom part, but then we'll modify that. Let's concentrate on the top part. There is one view that I always like to use for the top part, which is basic workflow main tab instructions with notes. And I always like to remove the notes, so it's left with instructions only. And then I can say in this step, you need to prove the process details. Okay, apply, and then it also created the same workflow, the same action item view on the bottom part as the first action item, and then we can just modify that by clicking on that cogwheel icon, and then we can either create a new action item view, define the name for it and the caption. Let's do that. Let's name this approval by direct manager, and then the tab caption is what's going to show right here. So if you leave this just assigned to, it's going to show the username of the person assigned. I always like to put in some text in addition, so I'm going to do the same, approval by direct manager dash and then $assigned to, so we can also see who's assigned to it. And then let's say we want to have notes, we want to have, we added the required hardware and software, but again, really depends on your needs, just using the same example. So once I did that, this is where I can assign the change, the action item to somebody else. This is, by the way, if I want to statically assign this action item to the same person for every change request created by that template, this is where I define this. So for example, under implement, when I do, let's do this again, and let's do change and choose the same instructions, save, and do that right here. I'm gonna choose the same, I'm gonna choose the one from last time. We had HR dash, no dash?
Only HR.
Yeah, right. So by the way this looks, you can click at it and see what that looks like. We've got HR, and then tab caption is HR dash $assigned to, and then these fields.
Does the number of templates that I can create in the system is limited by any, I don't know?
Templates or action item views?
Action item views.
Actually, it doesn't matter.
Both. Yeah.
Both. It's unlimited. You can create as many action item views as you want. You can create as many change templates and subtypes as you want. There's no limitation on that whatsoever.
So I have no fears to click on the new button.
Right. Don't worry about that. I usually use the new button. I don't even bother looking to see if I already have one that
How do you
meets my
duplicate?
requirements.
Yes, how do you create multiple?
So to create the second action item here, I just click on this plus sign and it will duplicate the previous one, and I don't really need the same one again. I just need to have another tab, and I can use the cogwheel icon right here to choose a different action item view. So I'm going to do that and say finance. That's the way we did that, and so on and so forth. There's a third one here and one under review. This is how we define the process. A couple things I wanted to mention. First of all, notification. Let's talk about change request notifications.
This is
on
the
action
emails.
items.
This is the emails that will be sent whenever an action becomes active.
Right. So under look at the left menu, we've got change notifications. This is where you can define what type of notifications you'll set up. This is actually only just setup of what to do, not when to do it, just what to do. In this case, we've got built-in notification, notify admin that his action is required. The default says basically send an email, don't send a text message, don't insert a service request. That's what most implementations find suitable.
And I can create as many notifications as I want.
That's
and
right.
build different notifications for different peoples or different steps in the process.
That's exact. You can do that. Again, I found most cases just an email notification to the assigned person would be enough. This is actually what the email would show. The recipient would be the person assigned to the subtype, and this is the email body and subject. And the way you apply this is on the change template. You go into the action item, click attributes, and you can define the notification right here. So I'm going to do notify admin that his action is required, and decide that I want to notify on activation, not on completion. There's no point in sending the notification on completion here, so on activation. There are many other configuration here, and I can keep on talking for hours and hours and hours.
Just maybe about two, Joseph. I will spend 2 more minutes from our customers, and I think they will appreciate that. Just if you can focus about the status in the top section and the dependencies, of course.
Sure. Let me actually show that on the template we created prior to this session. For example, let's take a look at this one, approval. When that person approves the direct manager approval, what happens is that...
And again, you clicked on the attribute button.
Attributes. The attributes button, it basically changes the status on completion. When David clicked complete here, it changed the status to in implementation. And then what happened is it changed the status. It enabled these 3 action items. It was still in implementation. And then eventually when this became activated, so on activation it changed the status to waiting to be closed. When this completed, it changed the status of change request to change completed. So I think it demonstrates real well what the capabilities of the automatic status changes
and not like in an incident in most cases, or a service request in most cases, where you basically in most cases change the status manually. Here the
That's
status goes with the process. Oh, thank you. You put us back online.
Yeah.
Hey, let me know before that.
Okay.
Okay, this is the status. And the last thing I would like you to focus on before we summarize this session is about the dependencies section.
Yeah, the dependencies, again, I'm going to look at the one I created here. I created 3 dependencies. All 3 of them are related to the workflow tab, and on the 3 action items. Okay, we had the 3 action items, HR, finance, and IT. All of them, when they complete, these are the 3 conditions, and I have to have all of them true. That's because I set up the dependency condition type to end. If I did or, then it would be enough for just one of them to complete. Okay, but in our case, we really needed all of them to be completed before the review step.
Okay, great. Thank you, Joseph, about that. By the way, just to let you know that this specific webinar was chosen based on your specific requirements. We have a survey that you can help us and fill out by the end of this webinar. You can find the link on your screen from the right bottom section of the screen. And you determined in the last surveys that you would like to see webinar about change templates and how to build it within SysAid. So if you will participate in this survey and we can create webinars according to your requirements and needs. And thank you, Joseph, again about that. I think it was very good. I think it gave a very good idea about how building templates, how to build processes using SysAid inside your organization. We showed how to create a skeleton. We showed how to create the process itself, how to create dependencies, control the status automatically. Thank you very much about it. Just one more thing I would like to tell us to the customers. This week we have released version 9.0.03 to our cloud environments, including a lot of changes in the knowledge base, a new layout, a new user interface, also some new capabilities in the knowledge base, already available to customers in the cloud. Specific customers that wants his environment to be upgraded to this new release should contact his account manager and we'll make sure. And just to let you know, on August 19, all customers will move to the new release on the cloud environment. And again, thank you all, and I hope you will join us next month to the next month webinar, to our next month webinar. I still don't know what the subject will be, but thank you for your patience and for listening to us, and see you next month.